The afternoon sunlight spills lazily across the city, painting golden streaks through the curtains of our apartment. I sit by the window, fingers tracing the rim of my coffee cup, and my mind drifts back to the day she said yes, the day our lives changed in a heartbeat. It had been a Sunday, calm and bright, the kind of day that seemed ordinary, but ended up being extraordinary. She had walked into the little cafe, her smile like a sunrise I hadn't realized I was waiting for. There was a lightness to her step, a kind of confidence that made everyone else fade into the background. And I felt like the luckiest man alive. Every nerve in my body seemed to hum with anticipation. "I've been thinking about this for a while," I remember saying, words trembling despite my efforts to sound casual. "And I can't imagine a day without you. Will you marry me?" Her laugh, soft, musical, yet edged with mischief, filled the room. She placed her hand gently over mine, her fingers warm, guiding. "You're ridiculous," she said, and I could hear the thrum of excitement under her words. "Of course I will." That was the beginning of everything, the spark that set off fireworks neither of us had expected. Engagement parties, calls to families, texts that buzzed with urgency and delight. Our apartment became a nest of wedding magazines, fabric swatches, and tiny trinkets that we both insisted were perfect. Every decision felt monumental, yet trivial at the same time, like buying a vase could somehow shape the narrative of our future. And yet, beneath the surface of that joy, subtle ripples of tension lingered. Her gaze sometimes wandered when I spoke of the future, a distant flicker in her eyes I couldn't quite place. There were evenings when laughter came too easily from her lips, but her eyes carried a quiet storm, an unspoken worry I wanted to name, but didn't dare. I chalked it up to nerves, the pressure of planning a wedding, the enormous expectation of perfection. After all, everything else felt flawless. I remember that night we sat on the balcony, the city lights stretching like a sea of stars below us. The wind carried the faint scent of jasmine from the neighbor's garden, and she leaned her head on my shoulder. "You know," she whispered, voice barely audible, "sometimes I feel like we're moving too fast." I stiffened slightly, a ripple of doubt chasing away the calm I had been savoring. "Too fast?" I asked. "But don't you want this? Don't you want us?" She lifted her gaze to meet mine, eyes glistening but unwavering. "I do," she said softly. Sometimes I'm scared I'll mess it up." I pulled her closer, the warmth of her body against mine, grounding me. "We'll figure it out together," I promised. "Whatever comes, we'll face it. I'm not going anywhere." There was a pause then, a quiet moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. And in that silence, everything felt right. The pulse of the city below, the soft hum of distant traffic, her breathing mingling with mine. The world had contracted to just the two of us, and in that moment, love seemed infinite, invincible. But life has a subtle way of inserting doubt into even the brightest scenes. As days passed, small cracks began to appear, tiny disagreements about colors, seating arrangements, the guest list. Things that once would have seemed inconsequential now carried weight, heavy and pressing. I noticed the way she frowned over certain decisions, the way she lingered on her phone with a smile I didn't understand. And yet, every time I confronted myself with these thoughts, I brushed them away, telling myself it was normal, the chaos before the celebration. Nothing more. One evening, while unpacking yet another box of wedding invitations, she laughed at something on her phone. I watched from across the room, a pang of uncertainty tightening my chest. There was a familiarity in her expression I didn't recognize, like someone else had slipped briefly into her. And I wondered, for the first time in months, if perfection was just an illusion we were both pretending to see. "I can't wait for tomorrow," she said suddenly, snapping me out of my spiral. "Rehearsal dinner. Everyone will be there. It'll be fun." I nodded, forcing a smile. Yeah, fun. The night before the rehearsal dinner, we lay tangled in the sheets, her head on my chest, and I felt the steady beat of her heart. The rhythm should have comforted me, but instead, it was a reminder of the fragility of the life we were building. I love you, I whispered, tracing the curve of her shoulder. No matter what, I love you too, she murmured back, and for a fleeting moment, the world righted itself as sleep pulled us into its embrace. I clung to that fleeting sense of security, unaware that the following evening would test everything. The engagement that had seemed perfect, flawless, and unshakable was about to confront a storm neither of us had anticipated. But tonight, in the quiet, everything was still bathed in golden light, and love felt invincible. The first chapter of our story ends here, not with a grand conflict, but with the subtle whisper of doubt, a shadow beneath the glow of happiness. And in that gentle unease, the seeds of what was to come are quietly planted, waiting to bloom into heartbreak, jealousy, and ultimately, the tests of trust that define true love. The ballroom is alive with soft chatter, clinking glasses, and the faint hum of a string quartet tucked in a corner. Chandeliers glint like tiny constellations overhead, scattering light over the polished floors and the elegantly dressed crowd. The scent of fresh flowers, roses, and peonies mingles with the subtle aroma of fine wine. Every detail, from the embroidered napkins to the glint of silverware, whispers of celebration, perfection, a night meant to be remembered. I enter with a polite smile, suit crisp, hands slightly clammy from nerves I didn't expect to feel. The applause when we step in is polite, warm, yet distant in my mind. I notice her immediately, my fiancée standing, with a radiant smile that seems to pull every light into its orbit. Her laughter, melodic and bright, reaches me even from across the room. My chest swells, my throat tightens with pride and love. But then I notice him. The subtle shift in her posture, the quick glance, the almost imperceptible brush of his hand on hers. Her ex, someone I'd heard stories about, someone who had once been her world. I freeze in place for a heartbeat too long, forcing my gaze elsewhere as the air suddenly feels heavier. I tell myself I'm imagining it. The crowd moves, champagne flows, conversations weave around me, but my attention is trapped on them. She leans in, laughs at a joke, a gentle touch to his arm, a gesture that feels intimate in a way that tightens my chest. I swallow, reminding myself, it's harmless. It has to be. Hey, a voice beside me says, startling me. It's my brother, already halfway through a story I only half hear. I nod, forcing a smile, trying to focus on the present, on the warmth of friends and family, on the celebration we worked so hard to create. But in the corner of my eye, the scene repeats her smile, his hand, the way their eyes lock for a moment too long. I wander toward the balcony for a breath of air. The cool night presses against my face, crisp and slightly sweet with distant jasmine from the garden below. I exhale, hoping to dispel the sudden heaviness in my chest, but the image lingers. My mind races, spinning through memories, doubts, fears. Is it really innocent? Or am I already seeing cracks that don't exist? Returning to the ballroom, I notice the way she talks. Gestures, laughs, not just at him, but around him, the way her presence shifts when he's near. My fiancé has always been radiant, magnetic, someone who could light up a room. But now there's a subtle tension, a delicate line drawn between warmth and familiarity that I can't fully cross. The dinner begins. Toasts are made, glasses raised. The room swells with cheer and love. I try to participate, laugh at jokes, nod to compliments, but my eyes keep drifting, searching. Every time she smiles at me, I feel a jolt of relief, a rush of love. But every time she laughs at something he says, my stomach knots, my jaw tightens. Everything okay? She asks softly when we finally find a quiet moment near the buffet. Her hand brushes mine, light and casual, but I feel a spark, a tiny sting of possessiveness. Yeah, everything's fine. I lie, forcing a smile, just taking it all in. She tilts her head, curiosity flickering in her eyes. You're quiet tonight. I guess. I'm just savoring it, I mutter, trying to convince both her and myself. This us, tonight it's special. She nods, seemingly satisfied, though I catch the faint shadow of something I can't name in her gaze. It unnerves me, and yet, for a moment, the world feels suspended, fragile and beautiful dot as the night progresses. Subtle interactions continue to tug at me. The ex makes a comment, and she laughs, the kind of laugh that lingers just a second too long. She brushes her hand over his in a way that feels casual, but my mind refuses to see it that way. I feel a quiet storm building inside me, a mix of confusion, jealousy, and fear, emotions I've never let surface in her presence. During a slow dance with her, I try to anchor myself, feel the beat of the music, the warmth of her body against mine. Her hair brushes against my chest, the scent of her perfume intoxicating. I should feel relief, closeness, love, and I do, but beneath it, a thread of unease winds through me, sharp and insistent. Do you remember the first time we danced? I whisper, trying to distract myself. She smiles, eyes shining. How could I forget? The room is dark, except for the faint glow of a single desk lamp. Its yellow light pools weakly across scattered papers, leaving the corners in shadow. The air feels heavy, as though silence itself has weight. He sits there, head bowed, jaw clenched, phone in hand. His thumb hovers above the screen, unmoving. The message box is open, a half-written sentence blinking back at him. Were you with him again tonight? He doesn't press send. Instead, he lowers the phone onto the desk, exhaling through his nose. The rain outside whispers against the glass, thin rivulets tracing downward like tears the sky cannot hold. He stares at his reflection in the window, faint, distorted, doubled by droplets. In the watery blur, he sees himself alone, yet behind him, in the mind's mirror, he imagines her laughter spilling in another room, another space, shared with someone who isn't him, her old friend, the one whose name tastes bitter whenever it surfaces. His chest tightens. He presses a hand against it, as though to cage the unease clawing outward. You're being foolish, he tells himself. She loves you. She chose you. But the memory of her smile earlier that day, so bright, so unguarded, the way her eyes softened burns inside him. That smile hadn't been his. The phone buzzes suddenly, startling him. A message lights up the screen. Her. Are you coming to dinner? Don't be late. His hand clenches the phone tighter. The message is innocent, normal, and yet his pulse stutters as if she had written in a secret code, one he is supposed to decipher. He types back, on my way. He deletes it. Types again, yes, deletes that too. His fingers tremble with the weight of unsent words. At last, he forces himself to type something simple. I'll be there, and he sends it before doubt can stop him. The restaurant hums with low voices and the faint clinking of cutlery against porcelain. Candlelight flickers across tables, dancing on crystal glasses filled with red wine. Rain trails down the tall windows in silver streaks, muting the neon city lights outside. She is already there, waiting. Her dress is soft lavender, her hair falling loose around her shoulders. When she looks up, her lips part in a smile that tries to bridge the space between them. For a moment, he almost forgets the shadows in his chest. You made it, she says gently, as though she'd been unsure he would. Of course, he answers, slipping into the seat across from her. The candle between them flutters, illuminating her face in warm gold, throwing shifting shadows across her features. She looks ethereal, almost fragile, and the sight strikes him like an arrow through the ribs. But then he remembers. The laughter, the friend, the way her eyes shone. And something sharp edges his voice when he says, "You seem happy tonight." She blinks, her expression faltering for the briefest instant before she recovers. "I suppose I am. It's been a good day." His fingers curl around the stem of his glass. "Spent with good company?" A silence that follows is delicate, like porcelain about to crack. She studies him, her eyes narrowing slightly, a shadow crossing her gaze. "Is that what this is about?" He looks down at his plate, then back at her, forcing a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. "I was just asking." "You're not just asking," she replies softly, her voice dipping low enough that only he can hear. "You're doubting me." Her words land like stones in his chest. He tries to form a denial, but it dies on his tongue. The candle sputters slightly, as though reflecting the tremor between them. "I saw you with him," he finally admits, his voice barely above a whisper. "You looked happy." Too happy. Her breath catches. She sets her fork down carefully, deliberately, as though afraid of breaking something fragile. "He's an old friend. That's all he is. Why does it hurt you so much to believe me?" The question digs deep. He wants to tell her, it's not about belief, it's about fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of being the one left behind, standing in the rain while she walks away with someone who knows her laughter better than he does. But pride holds his tongue hostage. Instead, he says nothing. The silence stretches, filled only by the muffled sound of rain and the muted symphony of other people's conversations. Finally, she leans closer, her eyes shimmering in the candlelight. "Do you think love can survive without trust?" Her words strike him like lightning, splitting the sky. He swallows hard, throat aching. I want to trust you." "I do, but sometimes I see shadows where there may be none." She reaches across the table, her fingers brushing against his hand. The touch is warm, tender, like an anchor pulling him back from the storm. For a heartbeat, he feels himself steady. "Then stop chasing shadows," she whispers. "Because if you let them, they'll consume us." He looks at her, truly looks into her eyes, into the place where truth and fear collide. And for the first time tonight, he feels the tremor of something breaking open, raw and unguarded. But before he can answer, a burst of laughter rings out from a nearby table. His gaze flickers instinctively, and there through the haze of candlelight and glass, he sees a silhouette. The friend, standing near the bar, rain still glistening on his jacket. Their eyes meet across the room, and in that instant, doubt surges again, fierce and unrelenting. The protagonist's hand tightens around hers, but not in reassurance, in desperation. Her eyes widen as if she, too, feels the shift. "Don't," she murmurs, almost pleading. "Please don't let this ruin us." The candle wavers, nearly extinguishing before regaining its flame. The rain outside beats harder against the window, as though echoing his storming heart. He inhales sharply, torn between trust and suspicion, love and fear. The chapter closes with the silence of two lovers holding hands, yet feeling miles apart, caught in the fragile space between devotion and doubt. The apartment is quiet now, the kind of quiet that presses against the skin and fills the chest with a weight you can't quite place. The faint hum of the city outside seeps through the windows, distant traffic and occasional car horns punctuating the silence. I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at my hands, the memory of tonight replaying in sharp fragments, the laughter, the lingering touches, the casual intimacy that now feels like a betrayal. I close my eyes, trying to breathe, to steady the storm inside. But every inhale draws in doubt instead of air. The ballroom, the lights, her smile, his hand brushing hers, it all loops relentlessly in my mind. I remember the way she leaned forward at the table, eyes twinkling with amusement, entirely unaware of the tension radiating from me. And I ask myself again, quietly, painfully, did she even notice me? Flashbacks of our early days blur with tonight's scenes. I see her in our first apartment, curled on the sofa with a book in her lap, smiling at some private joke. I remember the first time she whispered my name in the rain, laughter ringing through the downpour as we ran across the street. I remember the mornings wrapped in her warmth, the evenings tracing the contours of her face, the small shared jokes that felt like our private universe. Every memory is a reminder of why I love her so fiercely, and why the thought of losing even a fragment of that devotion feels unbearable. I rise from the bed and walk toward the window, hands gripping the sill. The night is cool, the city lights stretching like ribbons across the streets below. My reflection in the glass stares back at me tired, tense, heart aching with unspoken questions. I think about her laughter tonight, the way she tilted her head toward him, the familiarity in her gestures that felt wrong. I can't just ignore it, I whisper to myself, voice barely audible. But I can't accuse her. Not yet. The word betrayal echoes in my mind, sharp and jagged, slicing through the warmth of memory. I feel torn between trust and suspicion, love and fear. Every heartbeat thunders in my chest, a deafening rhythm that mirrors the storm of thoughts inside me. God, I remember the nights she used to talk about him, her ex. Always in past tense, always gentle, always careful. She never let the words linger, but tonight's moments replay like a cruel reminder that some stories never truly end. The subtle smile, the casual touch, the way she seemed so at ease. It's nothing, I tell myself. It has to be. But the ache in my chest refuses to let me lie to myself. I pace the room, each step a protest against the helplessness I feel. I replay every conversation from tonight, every gesture, every glance, trying to decipher intention from innocence. I think of the toast he made, the one where he teased her about shared memories, and the way she laughed, leaned closer, a hand brushing lightly against his arm. A pang of jealousy cuts through me like a cold knife. Why does it hurt so much? I murmur, it's just a gesture, just a memory, just a laugh. But it's not just that. It's the sense that something has shifted, a subtle imbalance I hadn't anticipated. The safe, unshakable foundation I believed we had built feels fragile tonight, like a house of glass teetering in the wind. And yet, in my heart, I want to believe in us, to cling to the love that has always been our anchor. I sit back down on the bed, exhaustion mingling with the restless storm in my mind. I pull the blanket around me, seeking comfort, seeking warmth. My thoughts drift to her voice, soft and reassuring, yet tonight I can't hear it without the echo of uncertainty overlaying it. I remember the little things, how she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear when she's nervous, how she bites her lip when she's thinking, how her laugh can disarm me even on the darkest days. And now, those familiar movements feel like coded messages, gestures I'm no longer sure I understand. I pull out my phone and scroll through old photos of us on the beach, laughing in the rain, wrapped in each other's arms during winter nights. Each image a testament to the love we share, a reminder of everything I don't want to lose. My fingers tremble slightly as I place the phone down, the glow of the screen fading into the dim light of the room. A knock at the door startles me, and I jump. It's only the neighbor returning a borrowed book, but even that momentary interruption shakes the fragile calm I try to maintain. I realize that tonight, nothing feels safe, not the memories, not the love, not even my own certainty. I stand and walk to the balcony again, letting the night air wrap around me. Stars glitter faintly above, indifferent witnesses to the human drama unfolding below. I rest my hands on the railing, staring at the city sprawled beneath me. Somewhere out there, she's laughing, moving, existing in a world that momentarily feels separate from mine. And yet, I know tomorrow, the rehearsal dinner, and all the moments leading up to the wedding will force me to confront the quiet questions festering in my mind. I think about the first time I realized I couldn't live without her. That helpless, breathtaking moment when she had looked at me and said, "You're everything I've ever wanted." Tonight, that phrase echoes in my head, but its certainty feels shaken, fragile. Love, I realize, is not just the fire of passion. It's the slow, steady tension of trust. And tonight, that tension feels perilously stretched. I sit down once more, wrapping my arms around my knees. The silence is heavy, pressing into my chest, a constant reminder of the unspoken words, the doubts, and the quiet betrayal I feel creeping into the edges of my heart. I close my eyes, letting the darkness take me, letting the memories and fears swirl together. Somewhere in the back of my mind, a quiet hope persists, hope that she will reach for me, that nothing tonight will break the bond we've built. But even as I cling to that hope, a small, insistent fear whispers, what if trust isn't enough? What if love can't shield me from what I saw tonight? Our steps are in sync, the world narrowing to the two of us. Yet I can't shake the image of the earlier moments, fleeting and yet so vivid. I force a deep breath, trying to reconcile the joy in her eyes with the sting of doubt. The night winds down. Champagne glasses are drained, speeches concluded, laughter softening into quiet conversations. I watch her from across the room, the ex finally excusing himself, leaving her alone for a moment. Relief washes over me, followed by a flicker of guilt. I've let suspicion shadow something that should be perfect. I approach her, taking her hand gently. "Are you tired?" I ask, my voice low, steady, though inside my heart thrums like a drum. "A little," she says, resting her head on my shoulder. "But happy." I want to believe her, to trust the warmth in her voice, the softness in her eyes. I hold her closer, yet the unease does not fade. The night has been beautiful, a portrait of celebration, love, and family, but beneath it lies the faint, insistent whisper of doubt, the tiny fracture that hints at the storm to come. And as we leave the ballroom, the city lights painting ribbons of gold on the streets below, I realize that perfection is a delicate illusion. I cling to her hand, her warmth anchoring me, yet I cannot shake the feeling that tomorrow, the subtle shadows I felt tonight might stretch into something I cannot ignore. The alarm rings with a harsh insistence, its sound cutting through the quiet apartment like a sudden storm. I lie in the dark, staring at the ceiling, heart hammering, hands twitching nervously at my sides. Today is supposed to be the happiest day of my life, the day I marry the woman I love, but instead, I feel paralyzed, trapped in a whirlwind of doubt, fear, and anger. I try to sit up, but my limbs feel heavy, weighted down by a tension I cannot release. Images from the rehearsal dinner haunt me, her laughter, the casual intimacy with him, the ease with which she had leaned towards someone who is supposed to be only a memory. I close my eyes and take a shaky breath. I can't do this today. I just can't. The sunlight creeps slowly through the blinds, painting golden stripes on the floor. Outside, the city hums with life, indifferent to the chaos in my chest. Families, friends, vendors, all preparing, all expecting, all waiting for me. But I can't meet their eyes. I can't face her smile, not after the storm that stirred inside me yesterday. Not after the subtle betrayal I can't ignore. I reach for my phone, scrolling through messages from her sweet, excited, loving texts sent in the early morning hours. "Can't wait to see you today. Everything will be perfect. I love you." Each word feels like a dagger. I want to reply. I want to tell her I'm coming. And yet, every instinct in me screams to stay away, to protect my own heart before it shatters completely. Memories flood back. The first time she whispered my name in the dark, the warmth of her hand in mine, the countless small moments that built the foundation of our love. I ache for those moments now, but they are laced with the bitter aftertaste of doubt. Was I blind to the signs all along? Or is my heart twisting shadows into monsters that don't exist? I dress mechanically, the suit feeling constrictive, almost like armor I don't want to wear. My tie is crooked, shoes scuffed, but I hardly notice. I glance at the mirror and see the reflection of a man torn in two one part, desperate to hold on to love, the other consumed by the fear that he is about to walk into his own heartbreak. I leave a note on the kitchen counter, simple and devoid of explanation. I can't come today. I'm sorry. The words are small, pale against the storm raging inside me. I feel the weight of shame pressing into my chest, guilt twisting my stomach into knots. And yet, beneath it all, there is a silent rage, a flicker of anger at her, at him, at myself for feeling so powerless, so invisible. The streets are quiet as I walk away from the apartment, the cool morning air doing little to calm the fever in my mind. Each step feels surreal, as if I am both part of the world and apart from it. Shops open, cars hum past, and yet everything seems muted, distant, irrelevant. The world is moving forward, and I am standing still, paralyzed by the chasm between love and betrayal. I stop at a small cafe, the scent of coffee grounding me momentarily. I sit with my hands wrapped around a mug, staring into the dark liquid, imagining her there smiling, radiant, ready for a day I am too afraid to join. I can almost hear her laughter echoing in the air around me, a ghost of joy I cannot share. You okay? The barista asks gently, breaking my reverie. I nod, barely. Words fail me. How can I explain the storm of emotions that churns inside, the heartbreak, the rage, the longing, the fear, all at once? I can't. Not yet. My phone vibrates. A message from her. Are you on your way? I read it over and over, my chest tightening with every word. I want to reply. I want to erase this morning, to run back to her, to hold her and tell her that nothing else matters. But the image of him, the laughter, the brush of her hand, the ease of her glance toward someone who is no longer mine, it haunts me. I cannot pretend that my heart will bear it today. I think of pride, stubborn and sharp, keeping me away. I think of vulnerability, raw and bleeding, urging me to reach for her. I am caught in the liminal space between courage and fear, between love and despair. The minutes tick by, each one stretching into an eternity. I remember the night before, sitting on the balcony, the city lights like scattered stars below us. The memories of her warmth, the press of her hand in mine, the whispered promises of forever, they clash violently with the memory of her laughter with him. And I realize that love, even at its most radiant, can feel fragile when confronted by shadows we cannot ignore. By mid-morning, the world is fully awake, alive with anticipation, but I am still seated in the cafe, staring at the empty streets outside. I imagine the wedding hall buzzing, the soft murmur of guests, her radiant smile waiting for me. And yet, I do not move. I do not call. I do not step into the day that should be mine. I am afraid. Afraid of seeing the subtle betrayals with clarity. Afraid of confronting the fear in my own heart. Afraid that once I step into that room, there will be no turning back from the storm that has quietly begun. My chest aches with longing. My throat burns with unspoken apologies. My fingers tremble with silent rage at the cruel timing of love and doubt. Time moves on without me. Guests begin to gather, friends exchange whispers, mothers fuss over last-minute details. Somewhere she stands poised, radiant, expecting me, trusting me. And I am not there. I am here, lost in a cafe, clutching a cup of coffee like a lifeline, wrestling with the impossible paradox of love and fear, pride and vulnerability. I close my eyes, letting the noise of the world fade, focusing on the one thing I cannot change, the consequences of absence, the weight of my choice, the inevitability of heartbreak I am about to witness from afar. And yet, amidst the storm in my chest, a small, stubborn ember of hope flickers. Perhaps somehow, love can survive my absence. Perhaps in time, trust and forgiveness will find their way back to me. But for now, I am here, and she is there, and the day that should be the happiest of our lives begins without me. The morning feels unreal, suspended between the mundane rhythm of the world and the chaos inside my chest. My phone buzzes incessantly, each vibration a sharp reminder of the life I walked away from. Texts, missed calls, voicemails, they pile up, a testament to her worry, frustration, and love. I scroll through them, each one cutting deeper than the last. Where are you? Please tell me you're okay. I can't reach you, call me. I don't understand. Why? I stare at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. Every instinct screams to respond, to reassure, to erase the hurt, but pride and confusion keep me rooted in silence. I can feel the tension coiling in my chest, tightening like a vice. Each unread message a mirror of the storm in my heart. I play the voicemails, one after another. Her voice trembles, wavering between desperation and the calm attempt to mask it. I don't know what I did or what I didn't do. Please, just tell me you're safe. The pain in her tone is palpable, and a part of me wants to answer, to dissolve the distance I created. But another part, angry, scared, bruised by the shadows of last night, whispers, not yet. Not until I understand. I pace the apartment, phone clutched like a fragile lifeline. Every call I missed, every message left unread, is a brick in the wall I've built between us. I remember her laughter at the rehearsal dinner, the subtle touches with him, and the quiet betrayal that gnawed at me. Those images are impossible to unsee, impossible to ignore. And yet, I miss her. I ache for her presence, the warmth of her hand in mine, the familiar cadence of her voice. It's a paradox I can't unravel. Love and hurt, longing and fear, trust and suspicion, all tangled together in an intricate web that ensnares my heart. I glance at the window, sunlight spilling in and illuminating dust motes in the air. The world outside carries on, indifferent to my torment. Somewhere she's moving through the day, preparing, hoping, waiting for words that won't come. And I feel a bitter edge of guilt, a sharp reminder that my absence, physical and emotional, is its own kind of pain. I type a message. Delete. Type again. I'm here. I love you. I'm sorry. No. It sounds hollow, inadequate. Another attempt. Can we talk? Too weak. I can't explain right now. Too cruel. Each word feels like a betrayal, each unsent text a confession of my confusion. I remember last night, the balcony, the city lights, the quiet reflection. I remember the warmth of her presence, and yet the memory is tinged with the ghost of doubt. The messages piling up are proof that the distance is not just mine. It's now shared, a silent conversation in absence, a dialogue of fear and longing. Hours pass. The apartment grows dimmer as the sun moves west. I scroll through old photos on my phone, snapshots of smiles, embraces, whispered confessions in the night. Every image is a reminder of love, of joy, of moments that feel impossibly distant. And yet, I cannot reach out. Not yet. A voicemail notification flashes across the screen. Her voice is raw this time, trembling with the edge of panic. Please, I don't know what I did wrong, but I need you. Please call me back. I press play again, listening to her words fracture my resolve. I feel the tears sting, the tightness in my chest intensify, and the knot of doubt and desire tighten. I pace, restless. I replay every scene from the rehearsal dinner, every glance, every smile, every subtle touch. I ask myself again and again, did she know how it felt for me? Did she see the storm in my eyes? Or was she just oblivious? The questions have no answers, only echoing emptiness. Finally, I sit on the edge of the sofa, head in my hands, heart pounding with a rhythm that matches the unrelenting pulse of my confusion. The world outside continues unaware, but inside, every second stretches into eternity. I feel like I am suspended, caught between what I desire and what I fear, between the love that is undeniable and the hurt that will not dissipate. I glance at the messages one last time before silencing the phone. It rests beside me, inert, a monument to my indecision. I cannot escape the reality that each unsent word, each unanswered call, carries consequences. The bond we built delicate, intimate, full of promise, is now fraying under the weight of absence, miscommunication, and unspoken fears. And yet, amid the tension, there is a spark of hope, fragile and flickering. The same love that has brought me to the brink of despair is still there, whispering that reconciliation is possible, that understanding can bridge the chasm. I only need the courage to reach across, to confront my own doubts, to face the consequences of my silence. I close my eyes, letting the quiet engulf me, letting the weight of longing, hurt, and fear settle in. I know that tonight, tomorrow, or soon, the unsent messages will demand action, that the silence I've clung to cannot last forever. And somewhere deep inside, I understand that the confrontation looming ahead is not just inevitable, it is necessary. The apartment is quiet when I arrive, tension hanging in the air like a storm waiting to break. The walls that once felt warm and welcoming now feel like barriers, trapping the words I've avoided for weeks. I stand in the doorway, unsure if I'm ready for this confrontation or if I ever will be. She is there, waiting, her hands clasped loosely in front of her, eyes wide and searching. There's a vulnerability in her gaze I haven't seen before, a flicker of fear that mirrors my own. The silence stretches, heavy and suffocating, until I finally speak. Why? My voice is low, trembling with the weight of every sleepless night, every anxious thought, every pang of jealousy. Why tonight? Why him? Why did it feel like you were somewhere I couldn't reach? Her lips part, then close, then part again, as if she's searching for the right words in a room that feels too small to hold the truth. I didn't mean for it to feel like that, she begins softly, voice barely above a whisper. It wasn't what you think. I step closer, fists tightening at my sides, heartbeat thundering. Then tell me what it was. Because all I felt was distance, laughter that wasn't mine, hands that weren't meant to touch yours in that way. Her eyes glisten with unshed tears. I know how it looked. I know it hurt you, and I hate that it did. But you have to believe me. It was nothing more than a memory, a ghost of the past. I didn't betray you. The words hang in the air, fragile but real. I want to believe them. I want to feel relief wash through me, to dissolve the storm of doubt that has roared inside my chest for days. But the memory of his hand brushing hers, the way she leaned, the ease with which she smiled at him, it claws at me, refusing to let go. Nothing more than a memory? I repeat, voice rising with a mix of frustration and desperation. She was there, laughing, touching, sharing moments, and I couldn't stop imagining it. I couldn't stop feeling like I'd lost a piece of you. She takes a hesitant step toward me, and I flinch, unsure if I can handle the nearness after the distance I've endured. You didn't lose me, she says firmly. I am here. I am with you. And I love you. Every gesture, every laugh. It meant nothing except what it was, a fragment of a past that no longer exists. Her words hit me, cutting through the fog of anger and fear. And yet relief mixes with something sharper anger at my own inability to trust, doubt at the fragility of our connection, and a deep ache that reminds me how high the stakes are. I want to believe you, I admit, voice breaking. But it's hard. It's so hard to trust that what I saw, what I felt, wasn't real. Her hand brushes mine, tentative, pleading. Then let me show you. Let me prove that nothing, not memories, not ghosts, not shadows of the past, can change what we are now. I am yours, and I've never been more certain of anything in my life. I stare into her eyes, searching for the truth, looking for the honesty that I know lives there beneath the fear. The vulnerability she carries, the openness of her gaze, it begins to calm the storm inside me. But the pain, the hurt, the lingering doubt, it doesn't vanish. It simmers, a quiet fire that refuses to die. I need you to promise me, I whisper, taking her hands in mine, gripping them tightly. No more secrets, no more gestures that leave shadows in my mind. I can't handle another night of wondering if I'm enough. She nods, tears spilling freely now, and pulls me into a hug that's both desperate and tender. I promise. I swear to you, nothing will ever make you feel this way again. You are the only one for me, always. Her arms around me feel like home, and for a fleeting moment, I let the tension of the past days dissolve. But the memory of fear and jealousy lingers, a shadow at the edge of this fragile relief. The love is there, raw and undeniable, but the journey to rebuild trust has only just begun. We step apart, faces inches from each other, breathing heavy, hearts aligned, yet still wary. I want to believe, I murmur, but I need time. I'll give you all the time you need, she whispers, voice steady despite the tears. I'll wait for you, for us. Her words are a balm to the storm in my chest, yet the echo of doubt remains. The confrontation has peeled back layers, exposed wounds, and revealed truth, but the healing is not instant. Love is not a single moment of confession. It is a slow, deliberate dance between trust, vulnerability, and forgiveness. We sit together, hands entwined, letting the silence speak in ways words cannot. Outside, the city hums quietly, indifferent to the emotional tempest inside our small apartment. The world moves on, as it always does, and we are left to navigate the aftermath of unspoken fears, lingering insecurities, and the fragile hope that love will endure. I realize that tonight, the highest stakes of love have been laid bare. Relief, anger, doubt, longing, they swirl together in my chest, each emotion a testament to how deeply I care, how intensely I fear, and how much I desire to believe in us. And yet, even as I feel the warmth of her hand, the sincerity in her gaze, a whisper of caution threads through my mind. Trust is earned in moments like these, not given blindly. And while the confrontation has brought truths to light, the journey forward is uncertain, delicate, and perilous. The evening is calm, yet every step toward her feels like navigating a tightrope stretched over the jagged cliffs of our shared past. I stand at the door, hand hovering over the knob, heart hammering with a mixture of hope and fear. The apartment smells faintly of vanilla and lavender, the same scent she wore the day we first met, and it pierces through the tension in my chest. She meets me halfway, eyes wide, cautious. There's an unspoken understanding between us. The past cannot be undone, but the future remains unwritten. You came, she says softly, a tremor in her voice betraying the calm she tries to maintain. I had to, I reply, voice low, almost a whisper. I can't let us end like this, not without trying. Her hand reaches for mine, tentative, testing the waters of trust. The warmth of her touch sends a jolt through me, reminding me of every late-night conversation, every whispered promise, every small moment that stitched our lives together. And yet, doubt lingers, a quiet shadow at the edge of my heart. "I need to say this," she begins, voice trembling. "I never meant to hurt you. Not even for a second. Everything I did, everything you saw, it was never about anyone else. It was stupid, careless gestures that I didn't think would matter, and I didn't realize how they would make you feel." I close my eyes, letting her words sink in. Relief fights with residual anger, and the mixture is dizzying. "I saw you," I whisper, "and I felt like I was losing you. Even if it wasn't real." Her eyes glisten. "You were never losing me," she says firmly, squeezing my hands. "I'm here. I've always been here. And I'll spend every day proving it to you, if you let me." The vulnerability in her voice, the raw emotion she carries, it chips away at the walls I built over the past days. I take a step closer, bridging the small distance between us. "I want to believe you," I say. "I want to trust again. But it's hard. I can't just forget the fear that gripped me." "You don't have to forget," she says softly, voice almost breaking. "We don't erase what happened. We learn from it. We rebuild. I'll never ask you to pretend the pain doesn't exist. We face it together." Her words resonate in me. Love, I realize, isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to confront it. Side by side, hearts aligned, even when the ground beneath trembles. I feel the tension in my chest loosen slightly, though the memories of doubt and betrayal still linger. We sit together on the sofa, hands entwined, fingers tracing the familiar lines of each other's palms. The city hums outside, indifferent, but inside, a fragile cocoon of trust and tentative hope begins to form. Each shared glance, each careful touch, is a stitch mending the frayed edges of our bond. "I'm sorry," I whisper, voice breaking. "For the silence, for leaving, for not trusting. For everything." She leans in, resting her forehead against mine. "And I'm sorry too," she says, "for letting shadows of the past creep into our present. For making you feel alone when I never intended it. We both have scars, but we can heal them. Together, the honesty between us is electric, tinged with a nervous excitement. Every word, every confession, every tear is a step toward rebuilding. We are learning the delicate balance of love and fear, of trust and vulnerability. It's a dance we both must relearn, but for the first time in days, the steps feel possible. I trace a finger along her cheek, memorizing the curve of her jaw, the soft line of her lips. "I don't want to lose this," I murmur. "I don't want to lose you." "You won't," she whispers back. "Not if we face everything." Together, we sit in silence then, letting the moment stretch, letting the fragile trust grow in the space between heartbeats. The past is still there, lurking in the shadows, but for now, it cannot undo the love that is present, raw. And undeniably, hours pass unnoticed, the city lights outside dimming as the evening deepens. We talk cautiously, sharing fears, recounting memories, laughing softly at the absurdity of our human fragility. Each word, each gesture, rebuilds the bridge over the chasm that opened between us. And yet, a quiet tension remains, subtle but persistent, a reminder that trust, once shaken, takes time to fully restore. We are not whole yet. The dance of love and fear is ongoing. But tonight, we have taken the first real steps, fragile and trembling as they are. I lean back, resting my forehead against hers, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling the warmth of her presence. "We'll get there," I whisper, more to myself than to her. "Step by step." "Yes," she breathes, eyes closed. "Step by step. In this delicate balance of hope and fear, we find a quiet strength. Love is no longer blind, it is awake, aware, cautious, but determined. And for the first time in days, I feel the possibility of healing, the fragile thrill of trust slowly knitting our hearts back together. Rain taps against the window in soft, irregular rhythms, a gentle percussion that mirrors the beating of my heart. The city streets glisten under the silver sheen of night, reflections of neon lights rippling across puddles. She waits outside, umbrella in hand, and the sight of her under the muted glow of street lamps cuts through the tension I've carried for days. I needed to see you, she says quietly, eyes wide, damp hair sticking to her cheeks. I can't. Not anymore. I step closer, boots splashing lightly through the shallow puddles. It's late, I murmur, though the world around us feels suspended, as if the rain itself has paused to witness this moment. Why now? Because I can't wait, she says, voice trembling. I've been hiding behind pride, behind excuses, but my heart, it doesn't wait. It won't. Not for anything. Not for anyone. And certainly not for the fear that's been keeping us apart. The words pierce me, raw and unfiltered. I feel the weight of days spent in silence, and nights of imagining her smile with someone else, the void left by my own choices. I don't know if I can trust my heart right now, I admit, voice breaking. It's battered, scared, and yet, it still wants you. I hate that it wants you, even after all the fear, all the doubt. Her hand brushes mine, rain-soaked fingers intertwining with mine. The warmth of her touch, the pulse beneath her skin, sends a shiver through me. Then let it, she whispers. Let it feel everything. Let it forgive. Let it love, even if it trembles. I'm here. I've always been here. The rain falls harder, drumming a steady rhythm on our umbrellas, on the asphalt, on the ache between us. I pull her closer, our foreheads resting against each other. I saw the way. At the rehearsal dinner, I say, voice almost inaudible. I saw him, the way you smiled, the way you. I falter, unable to complete the sentence, the ghost of my jealousy clawing at the words. I know, she says softly. And I hate that it hurt you. It was careless, thoughtless, a moment I never imagined would leave you doubting. But it meant nothing, except a memory I shouldn't have let linger in front of you. Her words wrap around me, gentle yet unyielding, a lifeline through the storm of my mind. I search her eyes, looking for truth, for honesty, for the depth of emotion that promises she is not lost to the ghosts of her past. And in that gaze, I see it a vulnerability so profound, so exposed, that I feel my own defenses crumble. I don't know if I can forgive it yet. I admit, voice raw, but I want to. I want to try. I can't imagine losing you, even with the fear gnawing at my heart. She leans into me, letting the rain soak through our coats, letting the night absorb our confessions. Then don't let go, she whispers. Not of me, not of what we have. Let the rain wash away the doubt, if only for tonight. Let us start again, even if the path is messy, even if the scars are still there. I hold her tighter, breathing in the scent of rain and her perfume, the warmth of her body grounding me in a reality I almost lost. If I forgive, it won't be easy, I murmur. Every glance, every gesture. I'll notice. I'll feel the tremor of fear. But maybe love isn't about ease. Maybe it's about choosing each other despite everything. Her lips brush against my forehead, soft and trembling. Then choose me, she whispers. Choose us. Even if it's hard, even if it's terrifying. I'll choose you 1,000 times over, if you let me. The rain continues, cascading down around us, turning the street into a river of reflections. Each drop feels like a cleansing, washing away remnants of doubt, fear, and hurt. I pull back slightly, looking at her face illuminated by the street lamps, tears mingling with the raindrops. I choose you, I say firmly, voice steady despite the tremor in my heart. I don't know if it will be perfect, but I choose you. I choose us. Her hands cup my face, eyes shining with unshed tears, and for a moment, the world feels suspended. The rain, the city, the night all fade into the background, leaving only the raw, unfiltered emotion between us. She presses her lips to mine, and the kiss carries everything: apology, forgiveness, longing, and the promise of a fragile, beautiful new beginning. We walk together, rain dripping from umbrellas, boots splashing through puddles, fingers intertwined. Words are unnecessary now. The silence between us hums with understanding, with love, with the quiet acknowledgement of the scars we both carry. Each step forward is a commitment, a vow to navigate the delicate balance of trust and desire, of vulnerability and strength, yet beneath the joy. A quiet tension lingers, subtle but persistent, a reminder that love, once tested, is never simple. Forgiveness does not erase memory, and trust must be continually nurtured. But tonight, in this rain-soaked street, with her hand in mine, the weight of fear lifts slightly. Hope and love, fragile and tentative, reclaim their place in my chest. Sunlight filters through the sheer curtains, spilling across the room in golden streaks that catch the dust in lazy patterns. The apartment feels quiet, yet heavy with anticipation. Today isn't just any day. It's the moment where choices, fears, and truths collide. I glance at her sitting across from me, coffee cup in trembling hands, and feel a mixture of longing and anxiety I can't shake. Are you ready? She asks softly, voice cautious, eyes searching mine for an answer I'm still finding. I don't know, I admit, leaning back in the chair, running a hand through my hair. I think maybe I've been ready for this day for weeks, but I've also been terrified of it. Of what I might feel, of what you might say, of everything. Her lips curve slightly in a tentative smile. Then let's start with truth. No walls, no excuses, no silence. I inhale deeply, letting the weight of the past weeks press against my chest. The silence between us has been filled with unsent texts, unspoken fears, and glances loaded with suspicion. And yet, it has also been a canvas for hope, for the possibility that love can endure even when trust wavers. Okay, I say finally. Truth, then. My voice is low, tremulous, but steady enough to anchor the moment. I was hurt. Not just yesterday, not just by what I saw, but by the fear that I wasn't enough. That somehow, even with everything we shared, you could drift away without me realizing it in time. She nods, letting my words settle over her like the soft hum of rain. I understand, she whispers. And I see now that my actions, even if innocent in my mind, caused that fear. I can't change the past, but I can try to fix what's left. I can try to rebuild your trust, piece by piece, if you let me. I lean forward, hands clasping hers across the small table, feeling the warmth of her palms seep into mine. I want to believe that. I want to feel it fully. But it's hard. Every memory, every shadow of doubt. It's still there. And it should be, she replies softly. Acknowledging it doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. It makes us human. And that is exactly why I love you. All of you, even the parts that tremble with fear. Her words stir something deep within me, a mixture of relief and yearning, fear and hope. I remember the rainy confession, the whispered apologies, the nights spent apart, imagining what could have been lost. And now, facing her across this fragile bridge of vulnerability, I realize that love has never required perfection. It has required courage. I've been scared, I admit, voice barely above a whisper. Scared that the love we have might not survive the truth. That my jealousy, my pride, my silence, that it could destroy us. Her thumb brushes over the back of my hand, tender, grounding. "Then let's choose courage," she says firmly. "Together. No more running, no more hiding behind fear. We face everything, our doubts, our insecurities, our pasts, and we choose each other every single day." The words hang in the air, weighty and full of promise. I take a deep breath, letting the warmth of her gaze envelop me. I want to try, I confess. I want to trust again, to believe again, to love fully. "If you'll meet me halfway." "I will," she says, eyes glistening with tears that reflect the morning light. "I promise. Halfway is not enough. I'll meet you fully. And we'll rebuild, no matter how long it takes." We stand together, hands still entwined, the quiet tension beginning to ease into a gentle rhythm of hope. Every glance, every breath, every touch carries the weight of what we've survived, and the fragile promise of what we can still become. Outside, the city hums softly, unaware of the storm we've weathered and the peace we're starting to create. I pull her close, forehead against hers, feeling the rapid beat of her heart echo through my chest. "It won't be easy," I whisper, "but I want to walk this path with you. Step by step, storm by storm. I'm ready," she whispers back. "With you always." And in that moment, everything feels suspended. The past, the mistakes, the doubts, all held at bay by the fragile but undeniable force of love. We are not healed completely. The scars remain, soft reminders of how far we've come and how careful we must tread. Yet, in the honesty of our confessions and the intimacy of our presence, there is a quiet triumph, a promise that love can endure if it is nurtured with courage, patience, and vulnerability. I brush a wet strand of hair from her face, cupping her cheek gently. "So this is it," I say softly, "the crossroads. We can choose to hold on, to forgive, to rebuild, or we can let go." Her lips curve in a faint, resolute smile. We hold on. We rebuild. We love, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. The sunlight catches her tears, turning them into tiny prisms that shimmer with unspoken emotion. And for the first time in what feels like forever, I allow myself to believe not in a flawless love, but in a love that is real, alive, and willing to fight through the storms. The sun dips low on the horizon, painting the sky in a blend of amber, rose, and violet hues. The air smells faintly of jasmine, mingling with the distant salt of the sea. I stand beside her on the balcony, the cities hung below, softened by the golden glow of twilight. Everything feels suspended: time, space, and the fragile weight of the past weeks. "You know," she says softly, fingers brushing against mine, "I never imagined we'd end up here, like this, standing together after everything." I squeeze her hand gently, letting the warmth of her touch anchor me. "Neither did I admit. But here we are. And somehow, despite the chaos, I feel at home. With you." Her eyes glimmer in the fading light, reflections of the sunset mirrored in the depths of her gaze. "Home," she repeats, as if savoring the word, letting it roll across her lips with a fragile reverence. "It feels like more than just a place. It feels like trust and safety and hope. And you've given me that." I swallow hard, emotion thick in my throat. "I want to give you that always," I whisper. "I want to protect this, nurture this, even when it's difficult. Especially when it's difficult." She turns to face me fully, hands cupping my face, eyes searching mine for the unspoken promises I carry. "I don't want perfect love," she says, voice trembling with sincerity. "I want real love. Love that can survive mistakes, misunderstandings, and moments of doubt. Love that chooses each other every day." Her words strike deep, and I feel the past weeks of pain and uncertainty dissolve into a quiet resolve. I brush a wet strand of hair from her face, letting my fingers linger on her cheek. Then we choose each other, I whisper. Step by step, day by day, no matter what. She smiles, the faintest curve of lips that holds 1,000 emotions, relief, joy, vulnerability, and hope. Step by step, she repeats, letting her forehead rest against mine. The world outside becomes a blur. The distant traffic, the soft rustle of leaves, the faint scent of rain all fading into the background of this intimate moment. The sun dips lower, casting a golden path across the balcony floor, and I pull her into a slow embrace. We sway gently, bodies pressed close, hands tracing the familiar curves of each other, memorizing every detail, as if cataloging a lifetime of love in these fleeting moments. I've realized, I murmur against her hair, that love isn't about never feeling doubt. It's about walking through it, together, and trusting that the other will be there when the storm passes. And I will be, she whispers, voice steady now, filled with certainty. I will be there always, and I'll meet you halfway, even when the road is hard, even when we falter. The horizon deepens into shades of indigo, stars beginning to twinkle as twilight gives way to evening. The city lights flicker on one by one, reflecting in her eyes and in my own, and for a moment, everything feels suspended in the fragile magic of love reclaimed. We move to sit side by side on the balcony bench, hands still entwined, shoulders brushing. Silence falls comfortably between us, a quiet acknowledgement that words have been spoken, feelings have been shared, and the delicate threads of trust are slowly being rewoven. I want to make more memories like this, I confess, looking out at the horizon where the last sliver of sun meets the edge of the world. Moments that remind us why we fought, why we stayed, why we chose each other. She leans against me, resting her head on my shoulder. Then let's start now, she says softly. With sunsets, with quiet nights, with small gestures. Building a life we can both trust, a love that grows stronger with each day. Her voice is gentle, almost ethereal, and it carries with it a weight of sincerity that anchors my soul. I kiss the top of her head, letting the intimacy of the moment speak louder than any words could. I promise, I murmur. To you, to us, to this. Whatever comes next. Her hand lifts to rest over mine, fingers intertwining as a silent affirmation. I promise too, she whispers. To face the unknown with you, to laugh, to cry, to hold on even when it's hard. To choose love every single day. The air cools as night falls, carrying with it the soft whisper of a breeze that tangles with our hair and wraps around us like a protective cocoon. Twilight gives the world a tender glow, and in that glow, we find a peace that has been hard-earned. Fragile yet undeniable. We sit in silence, watching the first stars appear, a quiet understanding passing between us. There are still questions, lingering fears, and paths yet to navigate. But for now, the present holds us, tethered by shared promises and the delicate renewal of trust. I think, she murmurs, glancing up at the emerging constellations, that love is strongest when it's chosen, not given freely, not assumed, but chosen every single day. I nod, heart full, holding her close. Then we'll keep choosing, I reply, voice steady, full of warmth and certainty. Even when the world shakes, even when we falter, we choose each other. The city stretches below, lights reflecting like scattered jewels across the dark canvas of night. We remain on the balcony, a quiet sanctuary from the world, hands entwined, hearts aligned. The past has been confronted, wounds acknowledged, and trust rebuilt, fragile, delicate, yet enduring. The morning light filters gently through the half-open curtains, casting a warm glow across the room. The air is calm, carrying the faint scent of fresh flowers and the promise of a new day. I sit on the edge of the bed, watching her as she moves softly around the room. preparing breakfast with a quiet smile that radiates both peace and resilience. "Never thought mornings could feel like this," she says, glancing at me from across the kitchen counter. Her eyes sparkle with a calm confidence I've rarely seen. Quiet, hopeful. Like we finally get to write our own story. I stand and approach her, hands reaching for hers. The sensation of her warmth and presence fills a space in me that has been aching for weeks. "Unwritten tomorrows," I whisper, echoing the thought that's been lingering in my mind since the dawn. We've survived so much. And now, every day is a blank page we get to fill together. She laughs softly, the sound like wind chimes stirring in a gentle breeze. "Blank pages, huh? Promise me we'll fill them with more than just memories of past mistakes. I want laughter, quiet moments, adventures, tears, everything. I promise," I say, cupping her face and letting the sunlight kiss her cheeks. "Everything. We'll embrace every sunrise and sunset. Every mistake will teach us, every joy will strengthen us, and every step will be ours together." We sit down to breakfast, hands still intertwined across the table. Conversation flows naturally, punctuated by laughter and soft exchanges. The tension and weight of past weeks feel distant, replaced by a steady warmth of mutual understanding and love. Each glance, each touch, carries the subtle acknowledgement of what we've endured and what we've gained. After breakfast, we move to the balcony, the city sprawling below, bathed in morning light. I pull her close, forehead resting against hers, savoring the simple intimacy of the moment. "Do you ever think about the future?" I ask, voice tender, almost hesitant. "All the time," she replies, eyes shining. "But I don't fear it anymore. The unknown isn't scary if we face it together. Every day is unwritten. Yes, but that's what makes it beautiful." I breathe in deeply, letting her words settle within me. The past no longer feels like a chain, but rather a foundation flawed, imperfect, yet strong enough to hold the weight of what we're building. I imagine the days ahead, morning coffees, rainy walks, shared dreams, quiet nights of confessions, small gestures that speak louder than words. "I've learned," I say softly, "that love isn't a perfect story. It's messy, it's complicated. It's every compromise, every forgiveness, every choice to stay, even when it's hard. And I choose you every single day." Her eyes glisten with tears, not of sorrow, but of overwhelming relief and joy. "And I choose you," she whispers. No conditions, no doubts. Just us, writing our unwritten tomorrows. The sun climbs higher, illuminating the city skyline, casting golden reflections across our faces. We sit together in silence, the world continuing around us, yet for this moment, we exist solely in the shared heartbeat of reconciliation and hope. Later, we pack a small bag and step out into the morning streets, hands intertwined, walking side by side. The air smells of rain from the night before, fresh and invigorating. Laughter bubbles between us spontaneously, an easy reminder of how far we've come. Every glance is filled with renewed trust. Every touch a reaffirmation of the promises we've made. As we reach a quiet park, the first flowers of spring are blooming. We pause, letting the breeze sweep past us, carrying the scent of new beginnings. She leans into me, and I feel the gentle rhythm of her breathing, a reminder that life continues in the smallest of moments. "Do you think we'll ever stop learning about each other?" I ask, voice soft but curious. "No," she says with certainty. And that's the beauty of it. Every day, a new page. Every day, a chance to grow closer, to love deeper, to forgive faster, to cherish more. I hold her hand tighter, letting the connection ground me. "Then let's make a vow," I say, "to embrace every unwritten tomorrow together, to face every challenge, to celebrate every joy, and to never take a single moment for granted." Her lips curve into a smile full of hope and determination. "I vow it," she says. With every heartbeat, with every sunrise, with every unwritten tomorrow, we stand there a while longer, the world around us alive with possibility. Birds sing softly, children play in the distance, and the city hums gently beneath the morning light. Each sound, each breath, reinforces the fragile, precious nature of what we've reclaimed, and the infinite potential of what we can still create. The horizon stretches endlessly, painted in shades of gold and blush, a perfect metaphor for our future. Unknown, beautiful, and waiting to be written. We take a deep breath together, step forward, and move into the unwritten tomorrows, hand in hand ready to face whatever comes next, stronger, wiser, and deeply in love.